A few days ago, I made a video talking about 5 underrated coasters I've ridden. And because that video did so good, I decided to make a similar video, but for roller coasters that I found to be overrated. Just like last time, let's waste no time and get right into it. Last video, 2 of the 5 coasters that were underrated were from Cedar Point, but not every coaster there is good. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know that I hate Magnum XL 200. Specifically, it's my least favorite roller coaster out of 68 credits. But here's the thing. You would think that this would be very easy for me to put this on the list. But I can totally understand how someone would love this coaster. If you are able to get past the pain, then that's just great. Maybe next time I ride it, I will learn to like it. But for now, this is the worst roller coaster I've ever ridden. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on this coaster, watch my full review in the card above. I will say, there are a few good moments, but they don't make up for the rest of the ride. I love Hershey Park, and I believe that they have the most well-rounded coaster lineup in the world. But there's one coaster there that just gets talked about too much. And no, it's not Skyrush. It's Fahrenheit. Sometimes I hear that this is the best coaster in the park, and it just makes me cringe. Don't get me wrong, Fahrenheit is a really good coaster, but I can't see how many people have it as their number 1 at Hershey Park. It's my number 6 in the park. There are 3 good airtime moments, being the first drop, the drop after the Norwegian loop, and then the final airtime hill. But besides those moments, the coaster doesn't do a whole lot. The corkscrews are a little bit snappy, but in between them there's definitely a pretty long pause. The inversions are a little bit intense, but the cobra roll is just completely pointless. It's very rattly and has no forces. Fahrenheit is just a fun little roller coaster that would be great if people just saw it for what it is. Now if you want to ride a really good intimate multi-looper at Hershey Park, then go ride Storm Runner. I'm about to get a lot of hate for this one. Sorry Cedar Point, but our next coaster is Steel Vengeance. Some say it's the world's best coaster. Let's just start by saying that you can definitely tell they're going for a record. Yeah, there is an insane amount of airtime, but how is the quality of the airtime? It's good, but the second half is more floater, and I don't mind repetitive coasters much, but it's just nice to have a little bit of variety, like other RMCs that I've ridden, like Wildcats Revenge and Iron Gwazi. They have a lot of good variety. And even the first half of Steel Vengeance is one of the best first halves of any coaster. It also has a lot of variety. Well, except the Outer Bank. That thing is so overrated, it barely gives any airtime at all. But the other elements in the first half are so unique. I just wish that continued a little bit more in the second half. The airtime is also a lot weaker than other RMCs. And once again, I love Steel Vengeance. It was really hard to put on this list because I don't find many coasters to be overrated, so this one I didn't have much of a choice. One of my favorite parks in the world is Kennywood. I think that Phantom's Revenge is underrated, but I also found Jackrabbit to be overrated. Some call the Double Down one of the best airtime moments in the entire world, but that isn't true. Don't get your hopes up because when I rode it, the Double Down gave average float airtime, which was sustained but not strong ejector that I always heard about. This is another one of those coasters where my expectations impact how I rank it overall. If it wasn't talked about that much, then I would be surprised by that element, and it would probably rank higher. But I rode it expecting an amazing airtime moment that would blow me away, but all I got was a pretty good floater moment. There are some reasons for this. The first reason is that I rode in the very first train of the day, so it could have been running slow, but the Double Down is right after a lift hill, so there's not much time to lose all that speed. And the second reason is that my seatbelt was very tight, so it acted more like a regular ratcheting lap bar that you would see on most wood coasters. I just wish people didn't talk about it so much, and maybe I would have liked it more. Sorry for Hershey Park, but our last coaster of the video is a Lightning Racer. Now this one, I just don't get it at all. Like, why does it get all of this hype? This might be the most overrated roller coaster I've ever ridden. I even hear people mention ejector airtime when talking about this coaster. I'm not even joking when I say that there is no hint of airtime on this coaster except for maybe the drop in the back row has a little bit of lift. The entire coaster has a roughness or rattle, which I know this is a hot take, but it's only a little bit smoother than the original Wildcat. Most of the other coasters I talked about on this list, I could say that it's still a good coaster, but this one, I just can't. The only redeeming quality is the dueling factor and kind of the drop, but that's it. I really wish I liked this coaster more, but it just has no force and feels very slow. So what does everyone think about the coasters I put on this list? I really don't like being negative when talking about coasters usually, so the next video will probably be more positive. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video.